right. This is the part where I have the most fun because I get to talk to my home country again and again, which is awesome. Um, Unfortunately, my home country didn't win the Stanley Cup this year, nor did my second favorite team, the Panthers, win the Stanley Cup this year. But what are you going to do? There's always
Oh,
next year, right, John?
yeah, absolutely. We're in the habit of looking to next year, aren't we?
You always, yeah, you win in the exhibition series, you're going to win for sure. Hey, listen, John, welcome to the Leaders Who Care series. I'm super excited to have you here and chat about you and all you're doing with in business to make an impact. So, as I usually say, the best place to
Thanks,
start
Mark.
is if you could introduce yourself. We'll get to the business stuff in a second, and I always have to emphasize this because guys always go right to their title. And tell us a little bit about who you are, where you're from originally, where you are now, family, favorite color if you want, stuff you've never told anybody else you want to reveal now. What the hell? You can do that too. Let's go with that.
Well, thanks, Mark. Yeah, good to be here. Yeah, my name's John Stix, and I'm born in Waterloo, Ontario, Canada. Just for those of you that wouldn't know where that is, it's about an hour west of Toronto. And started up a business a long time ago with my best friend. Love my family and love German Shepherds and walking along a river and yeah, enjoying life and really listening to what matters to me as an individual and living from that place. I went through a big change that we probably can talk a little bit later, but I've come to a place in time, Mark, in my life where it's really about listening, and to what you truly desire, and then lining up your actions to live that way. But yeah, so family guy, living in Waterloo still, and love to travel, and love training German Shepherds, and look forward to next year when hopefully my team wins the Stanley Cup.
Well, that'll be my second hope after my team hopefully wins the Stanley Cup.
Yeah, that's right.
So do you have kids?
I do, yes. I have a daughter, and I'm also a grandpa twice over. So I have grandkids, and yeah, it's great. It's wonderful.
Yeah.
They're a complete joy.
Yeah, I haven't got there yet, but I'm looking forward to that. I hear all good things about it, and I certainly know the influence my grandparents had on me. So it is
Mm.
important. So a good segue there is, what were you like as a kid, as a teenager? Did you play with walkie talkies? Considering what we're going to be talking about, did you want to be like Michael J. Fox on Family Ties when he was a young entrepreneur, or did you play sports
Yeah,
music?
uh-huh. Yeah, for me, Mark, it was all about the superheroes. I was really active as a young boy. Loved sports. Sports ended up becoming a real, safe place for me, and I was able to really express myself through playing sports and being a part of a team. Early on, lessons about how not to be a good teammate emerged, and also how to be a good teammate. And just loved the superheroes. Loved putting on a Spider-Man costume if I could, and just dreaming. I dreamt a lot as a kid. I would say dreamt about I think typical things that kids would dream about. Being a fireman, a policeman, and going through the different vocations and what it would be like. But also just dreaming about um, being what I dreamt. I remember dreaming early on about happiness and what it meant for being happy, and yeah, it was always centered around exploration, adventure, and a lot of joy in my dreams.
Yeah, I used to sit on the bed and dream if I had a rocket ship with infinite fuel and I could
Yeah.
just keep going, what would happen type of thing, that type of imagination. And it was really sad when the whole space thing kind of paused for a while there. And I think imagination was lost for a lot of people. And then now it's back. It is great. But, you talk about sports and I do sports analogies to the point where it annoys people, but I do them anyway. And this is a series recognizing leaders who care in sports. I've always found
Mm.
players do everything for the coach who really cares and believes in them. It's not about the contract to win the championship at that point. It's that. How did your or where did your savvy and instinct come from, evolve, where you knew the value of leading from a place of care, compassion, and empowerment?
Yeah, great question. I would say that I was really blessed, Mark, because early on, I met my best friend. My best friend and I were really aligned in terms of sharing similar dreams, right? As we got older. And, we tried, a good 9 or 10 businesses. And we didn't really even know the term entrepreneur. It was really about that. We called it, we just wanted to go to passion instead of go to work. We wanted to figure out a way that we could love what we were doing and just simply hang out together. That's really, Mark, how it started. And we finally hit one, grew very fast, rose to become one of the bigger ones in our industry here in Canada. And about 10 years into it, after just a really strong trajectory and growth, where, we started out of our own basement, I like to say, with a box of rice-a-roni and one red blazer.
Rice-a-roni, I haven't heard that.
Yeah, that's what we focused on food that we could afford at that time, that's for sure. And we couldn't even go to the same meeting together. It's a true story. One blazer, one pair of dress shoes. So uh, and as we grew out of that basement, we welcomed people to, join our journey, and we gained quick market share. And for 10 years, Mark, we were doubling in revenue, growing very fast. Two turned into 200 employees. And about 10 years into it, 11 years into it, I was discovering something I'd never seen before in my life. And it was just this big wall. And this wall was an interesting wall. I couldn't put a name on it, meaning it wasn't some big life event or anything like that, but I was becoming disengaged from the very dream that I helped create. And it was a hugely, like, just incredibly hopeless feeling, because here we are. I've, accomplished this with my best friend. Now we have more great friends that have joined us on our journey, family, and, head offices and buildings we dreamt about, and all these customers, and I didn't want to be there anymore. And I remember one time distinctly where I was going into our one building, a head office, and I was putting my hand on the front door, and I just let go. And I went back into my car, reclined the seat, and went, uh-oh. And during that time, there was also unusual behaviors that I couldn't recognize inside our company, like where we had these great areas that we thought that were built for collaboration. I was hearing bickering. Now I could put a label on it called silos, right? But I didn't know why things weren't getting done. And our growth had really started to slip down. And so, there was a lot of change that was going on, and I couldn't recognize it. And I couldn't think about how to fix it inside the business with my own business partner and other great executives that had come and joined us at that time, because I couldn't figure out what was going on even within myself. So I went on a journey, to make a long story short, of asking certain people, has this happened to you? And I would get feedback, very good feedback, like, John, hey, take a vacation. And I'd take a vacation, Mark, and I'd come back, and I'd say that didn't work. And they'd say, you took the wrong vacation. I said, well, I can't keep taking vacations. So nothing was working. They were very well intended. Nothing was working. And one fail moment, literally, I just turned the arrow inward. I realized that if I was going to figure out why I was feeling so disengaged from the very dream that I helped create, I needed to find the answers inside. And so I went on a journey of looking to find those answers. I took a trip out to Vancouver, and there's a set of circumstances that occurred in Vancouver over a 4-day period that permanently changed my life. And on the way back on that plane, I said to myself, wait a second, going back to your opening question, by the way, I used to dream as a kid about, like I said, happiness, and in some cases, even, people being healed, because I was exposed to certain people in my family that were sick early on. So I used to dream of them being healthy. And I realized on that plane ride back that I was not leading my company from that place. In fact, I would say disconnected, misunderstood. I would have been described as a very driven entrepreneur, but hard to reach. And that's not who I am. It's just, these were the labels I think that I thought I had to wear as a leader, Mark. And in that moment in time, I decided that even though it was very fearful, I was going to lead from my heart, and I was going to start making changes inside the organization. Asked my business partner and best friend if he came into agreement. He said, I don't know what all that means, but I believe in you. which was amazing, right, at that point in time. And we made some significant changes at the leadership team level, meaning binding us all together, letting other things go that were holding us back, and then made changes inside the organization that I won't get into now, but that led us to completely transforming the entire organization. The government did a study on some of the things that we were doing. We won best HR brand in the entire country, and all these KPIs went through the roof. And that's where that big change happened. Is I realized that the change in the business had to start with the change in myself.
Yeah, it's amazing. And I had a Deloitte partner that told me years ago. I was with Deloitte Montreal in Toronto. He said, Mark, brilliance is simple. And I really had, even though I thought I knew everything at 23 years old, he was right. Actually, there's a lot of complications happen along the way, but the answer really is simple, and he meant inside of you. Um, and
Yeah.
and it happens. Sometimes we're moving so fast that we're not listening to everything, and it gets away. And the other thing is they say that the thing that fills people's hearts and souls more than anything is belonging, and you kind of touched on that. Um, Executives, the money, the this, the that, all the stuff that men especially, and women are going to get caught up in too, unfortunately, as they keep going. We forget why we're doing this in the first place, and call it purpose, call it whatever, that really makes us happy. And that causes mental health issues. We can go on and on, but all sorts of things that happen. And it doesn't win the championship, whatever that championship means, in success. So I really appreciate you sharing that. And I know that I think I'm quoting you on this when you said, I believe that a vibrant culture is a reflection of leadership style. It is a result of a unifying belief in the identity of the organization. And I guess it started with you asking your partner / friend, are we aligned here, type of thing? Are we unified, in what we're doing? And it's anything from unified communications to plumbing supplies. You can make a difference as a leader on people in more ways than one. And with respect to that, it's a segue I'm taking to ask you to share about unification. In this case, unified communications. And they say marriage. This is the divorce guy giving you advice on marriage here. The communications is the whole ball game, and listening is part of communications as well. So share about unified communications, what you're doing with super exciting nucleus that you've developed, and even with translation. We won't translate it here, but with translation now being launched and being offered. Share with us how that evolved from Fibernetics and where you're going.
Yeah, thanks. And I couldn't agree more. Since all this happened in our own company, but also many leaders have asked me for my own opinions, and blessed to be able to provide them. I'll say that at least 95% of all the problems that occur in every business that I've been involved in and or given advice to, advised for, has been a lack thereof or no communication or problematic style of communication. So unity for us was the genesis of our culture, Mark. We needed to come together and really define who we are as a company. And I know it sounds strange to say who is the company, but I say that with conviction, because as a leader, our identity is the company. That was the big problem that I found out in terms of our company, Fibernetics, is that Fibernetics was my identity. And so when we look at the company and we remove ego and look at it and say, who is the company, and actually define its identity, then we can start to really get on a path of what we're going to do for our vision. We can get back to the vision. And that vision comes from the heart of the actual company itself. And you pull that from the entrepreneur, founder, or leader, right? You pull that out of your heart as a leader and create that autonomy where you're looking at the company and say, it's actually my fiduciary duty to run this company. And I'm blessed to do that and lead it, but it is its own entity, right? And so when you define that identity, and then you immerse everyone into that of who the company is, you create the systemic unity and belief. And then from that belief, you can construct that vision. And then for us, it was like, where's communications going? I mean, we're in the communications industry. Where's it going? And then COVID hit, Mark, and oh my gosh, for all of us, it was life upside down. All of us leaders were back, like everyone else, with PJs in our living room. And we decided to say, oh, where's communications going? And what we realized was we believed that although a lot of companies were in this industry called unified communications, we quickly realized, wait, it's actually not been unified. Like if you're anything like me, you could have 6 different platforms up at the same time. So we saw a great opportunity. To make a long story short, we created something called Nucleus. Nucleus, we believe, and positioned it as the center of business communication. And what Nucleus is we've taken all of our 20 years of experience in communications and brought it all together into one application, one platform for any business, works from any device. And you have video calling, team chat. You can text from inside the company to your customers within Nucleus and outside of Nucleus. And it also has a fully functional phone system, all integrated into one application. And because we're the phone company, we point a phone number. We can move your phone number over, but we can give you a phone number that points right to the application. So it's one unified application. And we decided to put that out into the market for free. That free has really been a part of how we've grown. We want to build relationships, so deliver a certain level of value. And then a year or and a half into the development of it, we realized, hey, there's this new thing called AI, and where's that going? And we noticed that a lot of people were moving towards, sort of text and chat, and for, very good reason. And we realized that we thought, what if we could accomplish some solutions for some big problems on the voice side? Hey, we have this application that's unified communications, but what can sit in the actual environment that could cure or be a solution for some big problems? And one, of course, it's been with us for forever, is misinterpretation of culture, not understanding people due to language differences, right? I mean, I don't speak 18 languages or 100 languages. How can I possibly understand everyone in the world? And so with AI, we've been able to make a technology whereby in that video call that you initiate in Nucleus, you can select your language. And Mark's, let's say you selected French and I selected English. I'll be speaking real-time in English and you're hearing real-time French. You're speaking real-time French and I'm hearing real-time English. And again, this is coming from our core values. And we're looking to use AI to transform how business communicates inside of Nucleus for the betterment of business, for the betterment of culture, for the betterment of our human experience with each other.
Yeah, and I'm super excited about it. I was super excited when we had breakfast 4 years ago or whatever for 2 hours.
Yeah, it was great. Yeah,
talking about and seeing where it's gone now. It's brilliance is simple. You're bringing people together, and it solves so many issues when you do that. And I love the fact, we founded Fifth Element on the basis that leaders in their businesses can do way better when doing good at the same time. How exciting is it when your partners, your employees belong to that purpose and your actual business is doing good? You're not just giving a check to some charity, which is fine, but your actual business is doing good. The employees are belonging. And before you comment on that, what we have found is when, Jack Ma actually said this when he was going public with Alibaba. He said, US, it's not about the shareholders first, it's about your employees first. The rest is after that. And what we have found is the employees go home and two things happen. It's either like, oh, I'm so tired, work sucks, I don't even know what we did today. We're not even doing anything good for the world. Give me a beer, I'm going to sit on the sofa. Or they say, guys, we got to get together. I got to tell you what happened at the office today and what we're doing within translation and this and that, and the good that's going to happen, people coming together. And the kids hear this. This isn't fluffed up. The kids hear this and they say, damn, mom and dad are really, this is cool. We can do stuff like that. So share about that and all that importance of how it affects business, the employees, the families, and then it goes into the community.
100%, and couldn't agree more. And especially with my experience with you and everyone at Fifth, we're very aligned in that regard. I'm asked a lot. Maybe I can start here. I have many philosophies and principles that I operate from now in terms of knowing who I am as a person, much more in a leader. But one of the things I'm asked a lot about, Mark, is from other leaders is how do you measure engagement? And I have a simple answer. You don't have to if you create it.
That's great.
Like if I go home and I love to paint, you don't need to measure my engagement level when I'm painting. And so, when we come together and we align with who we are, and then we decide, and then we start to think about tackling problems as an organization, and we align our values, which is our language and behavior, in terms of being unified and then looking to conquer those problems. And we feel that sense of purpose. We feel that sense of our potential being realized. Happiness isn't about some magical place in the future where I get to arrive at a goalpost and I say, oh, okay, I get to be happy because I've achieved all these things. It's actually, happiness is a present moment realization and a choice.
Yeah.
And so when we can decide that we want to, for instance, build a culture of happiness, joy, peace, equanimity, and purpose, and we all align together on that, we can create as a group and a community. And I'll say this, business to me is a community, Mark, right? We're a community. And I even take it to another step. I like to call it a community. Right? And because when we're calm, our minds, we know, are working, right? We're in the best portion of our brains for problem solving. And when we're unified, we know where we're going. And for us, seeing the creation turn into something that people want to adopt, which is our customers, and we call our customers our heroes. When we see our heroes using something that we've made together, it binds us all together. And then when we are able to realize KPIs, including revenue and growth, we then get the chance to deploy some of that to better our community, to better individual lives. And what spawned from that, Mark, is, and I'll leave it here real quick, is we then went to our employees and said, what matters to you in terms of community? And what came from that is we actually made our own charities. So Backpack for Kids in the Dominican Republic is our own homegrown charity. And so we're able to take that money that we all felt purposeful to create, because it was more than just making the money, and take some of that money and then channel it in as energy into helping people in their lives.
Yeah, it's like community and all of that. And Kobe Bryant, of course, he passed away too early. He used to say, "We all going for a dream. You got this dream. You're going for. What you got to know is this is the dream right now, not just the one way
100%.
there." And it was also brilliant. The fifth industrial revolution is being recognized as humanity, with the fourth industrial revolution being AI and technology and whatnot, which is half of the reason of our name, Fifth Element, actually, where we focus on impact and talent, as we talked about. Talent now is looking to work at places like yours, where they can both make money and make a difference at the same time, not where they have to choose one or the other. And partnerships is a big deal in that. Share about your plans with Nucleus to have partnerships with programs, for example, like Million Peacemakers non-flick program and others, and the impact you expect from those offerings and those partnerships.
Yeah, and before I comment on that, I'll just comment on one other portion of what you said and asked, and that is that in our latest employment survey, to emphasize your point, over 50% of our entire business, all our employees, our teammates, have chosen Fibernetics they want to be lifers.
Mm-hmm.
Now, we're a technology company in the heart of the highest degree of tech development in Waterloo region in Canada, very competitive. And over half of our company want to be lifers. And so, what we do is we are able to attract the right talent, we think, and then also they feel like, hey, this is something special, we want to stay here. So just as an exclamation mark to what you were saying, we're excited about the potential of being able to have partnerships like with non-flicked and we talk about communications, we talk about unified communications. Well, I mentioned earlier that, constantly what we're dealing with in our businesses and communities is miscommunication, lack thereof communication. We default to text messages and we don't realize that, hey, it's one of the lowest forms of successful communication as a method. It opens us up to possible misunderstandings. And from that comes conflict. And, one of the biggest obstacles and challenges for leadership, in my opinion, is how are we dealing with conflict resolution? How are we dealing with conflicts that arise in teams? You might not even hear about it, depending on the size of your business.
Yep.
What infrastructure is being put into place? What solutions? And when I think about conflict and what's been accomplished on that side, and that we may be able to align our unified communications platform with the science and the proven methodology that conflict is displayed. Well, what we're talking about now is being able to deploy unified communication service en masse to businesses, and also allowing them to have the ability to access a solution where their teams can, look to resolve conflicts real time before it ever becomes, let's call it a magnified or systemic problem that could really impact culture.
Yeah, no, it is, again, brilliance is simple, and it is a matter of inclusiveness, of belonging that comes from it too, and
Yeah.
it does almost preempt issues happening. I've seen candidates, because candidates we work with can go a lot of places, and they pick for various reasons where they go. But if you have a program, whether it's non-conflict, involves resolution, or other programs that address stuff, they look at those companies as they really are committed to something. It's not like we have an open door policy, come in anytime. That's not a program. And they pick companies because you show a commitment to certain programs to make life easier and happier.
Wow. Yeah. And, I'll also say this, I'm not suggesting whatsoever that because we made all these changes, everything's rosy. We all know that business, there's always going to be challenges. There's always things that you got to fix. But one of the beautiful things about putting these kind of programs into place, and also, making the changes like we talked about in terms of caring for our employees, is that we have the resiliency as a group to get through it.
Hey, teams don't win
Right?
championships because they all love each other all year. They win championships because they know how to get beyond, different decisions.
That's right.
And things like that. And you know what?
Yeah.
Go back to the kids and coming home. If the kids keep hearing everything's perfect, when they hit an obstacle, what are they going to do?
That's right. And perseverance is really for us. And, I have a wonderful mentor in my life. But, he taught me this, perseverance is seeing the hope that's on the other side.
Mm.
Right? The hope for that other side, that vision of the other side, which creates this perseverance. And so when we have that culture that binds and unifies, and then we believe that we're actually going somewhere all together, it enables us to have the resiliency through perseverance to get to that other side.
I'll give a little hockey analogy, then we'll move to the last question. What we say in LA is, well, we leave them wanting more, so we can do a sequel. So we'll have to do a sequel here. But do you ever watch the Mighty Ducks movies? Any of those?
The first one. The first.
Okay,
yeah, I don't know if there's. I'm assuming there were sequels.
There was. I don't remember which one it is, but the coach had all the young kids players together and put a rope around them and said, "Okay, everybody go, let's play." And they all fell all over the place. They realized
that's awesome.
We have to go together, and that's
together. Love it.
It was a great moment. So I love what you're doing. Last question on this part. You mentioned COVID before. In 2021, a client told me, he said, "Mark, the year 2020 was the year that flew by slowly." And I thought, what a great line. And the last few years have been interesting. It would be an understatement for a lot of people. With all that, what are you most grateful for now? And what are you most hopeful for?
Wow. Tremendous question. Well, I would say that I'm most grateful for knowing who I am and feeling grounded within the acceptance and appreciation for the moments I get to have in this thing called life. You know, I was always thinking, Mark, about the future, the future, the future, the future, but I was never in the present moment.
Yeah.
So I'm really grateful to be able to have the realization that the present moment matters, because I do now see the flowers on my hikes. I do now take the time to look at the people that I love and spend time with them. And so I'm grateful for discovering who I really am and all of the people that are around me in this thing called life. And my hope is, my goodness, my hope is that, Mark, I feel like society is going through a lot of change, to say the least. That's an understatement. And there's a lot of offense. People are really offended. I find that there's a lot of offense and there's a lot of judgment. And so my hope is that, you know, we will see more people gravitate towards understanding, compassion, temperance, and unity. You know, we talked about unified communications, we talked about unified cultures in business, but you know, what's it going to take for us to really come together and find that unification as individuals and communities? So my hope is that we have an awareness and a realization that we need to turn towards that more, and then ask ourselves, you know, why am I doing what I'm doing?
Yeah, thank you. Thank you for sharing that. That's super well said. And I'm grateful that you're a leader who cares, man. Not, you know, but it's a Canadian trait anyway. But I'm grateful for that, and I'm really hopeful with people like yourself and your partners and your employees, really leading the way on being unified in a number of ways. So thank you so much for that and for being on the series. And we'll talk to you again soon.
Thanks, Mark. What a wonderful time, and super enjoyed it. And I certainly couldn't have done this without wonderful people around me. And I just want to let you know that I'm equally grateful for you and everyone at the Fifth. And thank you for asking me to join on this podcast.
Totally my pleasure. Thanks.